Hi, and welcome to Meetings in Math. You are here for 5.6b, Direct Variations and Proportional Relationships. Our essential question is, what are the characteristics of tables and graphs showing proportional relationships? Today, you will need your Jaguar dots. A pen or a pencil and highlighter might be helpful. A calculator you may find helpful, but always bring your problem-solving skills, your determination, and some self-confidence. The page that you're going to be on will say 5.6b at the top, and it will begin with seagulls eat what? So let's begin. Seagulls eat what? 4 seagulls ate 10 pounds of garbage. Assume this information describes a proportional relationship. We're going to begin plotting points that show the number of seagulls and the amount of garbage that they ate. So let's start with how many seagulls we have and how many pounds of garbage that they ate. So if we start here at 4, and then we start with 10 pounds of garbage, and where they intersect is where we put our first point. And then we would assume that the pounds of garbage would increase from there. So if we had 4 more, and that would be, or double it, we'd have 8 seagulls would do 20 pounds, but we don't have 20 pounds of garbage. So now we actually need to work our way in reverse. What if we only had 3? What would happen then? Or what if we only had 2? What would happen then? Well, we don't really have those. So let's say, what if we had 0? What would happen then? So what we're going to do is we are going to take a straight edge and we are going to go through the point 0, 0. So here we are at 410, and then we're going to go through 0, 0. And by doing this, we're going to get a really good approximation, since it's proportional, of where we should be. So from here, from there to 0, 0, and that line right there gives us a very good approximation of what is going on with our graph. Now we can make some assumptions of what happens. So for example, what happens when we have 2 seagulls? How much garbage would 2 seagulls eat? Well, if I would go up for 2 seagulls, you would see that I cross at 5. So 2 seagulls would eat 5 pounds of garbage. That is a proportional relationship. So plot the point 1k on the line. What is the value of k, and what does the value of k tell you in this context? In other words, how much would 1 seagull eat? So here I have 1 seagull. So now if I have 1 seagull, so let's go with a finer tip pen and look at this. So if I had 1 seagull and I go up, how or where do I end up? And it looks like I end up about at 2.5. So what does that tell us? So if I have 1k, and this 1 means seagulls, and k is trash or garbage, what is that telling us? It looks like I'm ending up at about 2.5. So what does that tell us? That tells us that every 1 seagull eats 2.5 pounds of garbage. And we found that by looking at our graph. So now that we have that, now that we know that 1 is 2.5, so k is equal to 2.5, how do we write the equation? So go back to what we did yesterday and think about this for just 1 second. What does k mean? Well, remember, it's y equals kx, so that must mean y equals 2.5x. So we know that the equation of that line is y equals 2.5x. That's what this line is. We could find this line, we could write this line by y equals 2.5x. So now let's look at another one. Space rocks and the price of rope. A meteoroid Perseid 245 and asteroid X travel through the solar system. The graph shows the distance each traveled after a given point in time. Is asteroid X traveling faster or slower? In other words, we want to know which one's faster, which one's slower. So if we think about this, if this is my time, okay, so that's time, and this one's distance, And if I think about this, this means I have gone more time and more distance. Okay, which one's going faster? So let's just pick a time to look at. That's the easiest way to do this. So let's look at after this much time, and let's now look here, here, and here. I have now traveled this much distance or this much distance in the same amount of time. Which one's traveled more distance in the same amount of time? That's what we want to know. Perseid has traveled A amount of distance, and the asteroid has traveled B amount of distance. Which one is a more distance? In other words, which one's further away from our starting point? This is our starting point. Well, B is further away from the starting point. How do we get further away from the starting point? We're faster. So B is faster because it's further away in the same amount of time. So B is further away in the same amount of time. That's the asteroid. So because the asteroid X is further away in the same amount of time, it is faster than Perseid 245. And drawing that little bit of the graph is going to always help you. And so just pick out amount of time and then make a straight line up because that's the same time. And then which one's further away from your starting point? And you can see that the asteroid is further away in the same amount of time. Therefore, it is faster. That's the only way you get to go further away is to be faster. All right, so today I'm actually going to do the summary with you because this is just such a meaty concept, and the last one took a lot of the time, and so I want to make sure that you all have the right information. So a proportional relationship can be represented by some different things. It can be represented by a table that is this part. It can be represented by a graph, which is this. It can be represented by an equation. And so an equation like y equals kx. And so when we say an equation, I want to make sure that you remember that is y equals kx is what we're looking at right now. Those are those proportional relationships. And k is the thing that we are trying to find over and over and over again. That is when you put the y over x and figure out what that is. So let's look at this last problem right here. If y represents the distance in feet that a snail crawls in x minutes, then 4, 5, which is a point, tells us that a snail can crawl 5 feet in 4 minutes. Then these are different places that we took a measurement at. This right here, so 5 feet and 4 minutes. So this is our minutes. And this is our feet, and that's how we're looking at this one, which means this along here is feet, and this along here is minutes. So we're looking at where does it crawl. So after 4 minutes, it went 5 feet, but after 1 minute, it went 5/4 of a foot. After 5 minutes, it was 25/4 of a foot, and after 8 minutes, it was 10 feet along. And so these were different measurements that we took along the way. We can find the constant of proportionality. So remember, the constant of proportionality, that is our k. The constant of proportionality, that's the k. By looking at the graph. Because 5/4 is the y-coordinate of the point on the graph where the x is equal to 1, that's this right here, that's our constant of proportionality. Likewise, we can see in the table that 5/4 is the constant proportionality because it's the y value when it's equal to 1, right here. That helps us write the equation. Y equals k, which is that constant of proportionality, which is going to be the 5/4 x. So that 5/4 shows up in different places, but it's always when x is equal to 1. So wherever x is equal to 1, because look, when we multiply x by 1, right, that's going to give you that 5/4 showing up. So that constant proportionality is super important that you understand where it comes from. It comes from the fact that we do the y's over the x's. We get that ratio, That tells us what to multiply our x by to get all of those other numbers that are on this line that's showing up right here. We want all the numbers that are on that line right there. All right, constant proportionality, proportional relationships, graphs, equations. What am I leaving out? Graphs, equations, and tables. There are so many different things for us to look at right here on this. Take some time, go through this again, maybe watch it a second time. I want you guys to take a moment to explain this to either an adult in your house, call up somebody, maybe Zoom with somebody, and maybe a sibling. If you don't have anybody else you want to talk about it, take out a stuffed animal, talk to your pet, but explain it to somebody. Take this little summary and explain it to somebody how it works, all right? I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in our next video, and remember, be kind to each other because everybody can use some extra kindness in their lives. Bye for now.